25 miles south of Jerusalem, in the midst of ancient ruins, stands a mysterious synagogue. At a first glance, it appears to be just another structure from the ancient world. However, a closer look reveals something far more mysterious.
Look, דקירן לטוב מנחמה ישוע שהדה ומנחמה ש.
One of the inscriptions in the mosaic floor appears to have the name Yeshua written in Hebrew. Yeshua is the Hebrew form of the name Jesus. Even today, the Messianic community in Israel calls Jesus Yeshua. So this inscription really referred to Jesus of Nazareth and indicate that this was a Messianic congregation. Or does it simply speak of a person named Yeshua who lived in the 5th century? To find the answer for ourselves, we thought we'd better go down to the site and investigate it ourselves. And to make things even more interesting, in the synagogue's courtyard, there is a vertical shaft that leads into a mysterious underground tunnel.
Look at this.
Join us on an expedition to the Judean Foothills as we make our way through the ruins to reveal the ancient secrets of Susya.
Wow, this is it. What a historic location. I mean, all of these lands here, it's the beginning of the Shfela, isn't it? Just below Jerusalem.
The site we're going to is located in the Judean Foothills, about 25 miles south of Jerusalem and only 8 miles from Hebron.
Wow, we didn't even get to the site yet, and it's just archaeology everywhere. It looks like just ruins everywhere.
The administration of the site was kind enough to open the park just for us in the early hours of the morning so that we could have it all to ourselves for the investigation.
Wow, there it is. And I can't believe the park manager came early, especially just to open this for us so we could film all this.
So wonderful.
Let's just park over here and get going.
Excited?
Very much so. Let's go.
Let's go.
And to make things even better, an old friend of the park decides to join us for this expedition.
What a sweet dog.
Let's go.
Hi, girl.
Before we make our way to the ancient synagogue, we have decided to first check out the ruins of the city to better understand who were the people that lived here.
The city wall goes like up there.
So I assume we're walking into the city,
Yeah.
farther away from the wall and more into the city. Wow, it's huge actually. And it's so well preserved. You don't get to walk in an ancient city like this too often, do you? Like a little ruin here, ruin there, but it's so well preserved.
The ruins of this place date as far back as the 4th century. And looking from above, the size of them is absolutely remarkable. To this day, you can see the ruins spread out over 80,000 square meters. That's 20 acres.
Look at the size of this place. And yet it is so mysterious because they said even though it was like on top of a hill, but there is no documentation about who lived here, what they did, even though they had such an extravagant synagogue and must have been huge.
And yet it's not mentioned in any record.
No.
This is the interesting part. This place is not mentioned in any of the ancient texts. And historians have tried to find it. They've tried to find it in the ancient texts, and they can't. If you check any of the 1st to the 4th century historians like Josephus, Eusebius, Jerome, none of them mention this place by its name, Susya. Why? Why a city so large and prosperous not be mentioned in any historic text? Could it be because at that time it had a different name? Or could it be that this city was entirely banished by the neighboring societies? We went through a lot of archaeological data and research papers, but there's just not enough information to make dogmatic conclusions. And if you think about it, just because this place is not mentioned by its name, it doesn't prove that it had a different name, and also doesn't prove that it was banished from society. In other words, while lack of evidence could be intriguing and raise some important questions, it should never be treated as evidence on its own. We just need to keep on looking and investigating.
Ooh, a cave.
Babe, dwelling cave. Wow. This one seems to be overgrown. Be careful. Babe, it's all black on top. What does that mean? It was burnt? Babe, it goes deeper. And there is deeper.
No way, I
In
want to see
there.
that. Oh man. Let's go. What's in there? What's in there? What's in there, puppy?
What do you see?
It's not excavated,
It's like filled.
but it goes deeper. Yeah. You can clearly see the chiseling here, the entrance.
Wow. I can't imagine how many of them go deeper then.
This ancient village has actually more than 70 of these underground spaces and caves.
Whoa.
What is
This
that?
is phenomenal.
And it makes perfect sense because during the summer it gets so hot here that these underground chambers become the perfect hiding place from the heat of the day.
We're walking in the streets and residential area that is 1600 years old. Isn't that something?
And it's really well preserved. You can see this is a doorway. Some places you go to, you can't really make up anything
Yeah.
of it. But here,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
more or less know what you're walking into. Look at that ark, look at the ark.
We've been to many other caves in Israel, but none of them were as many well-built, sectioned, and preserved.
Let's go.
Let's go. Whoa, this one is huge.
These caves are nothing short of spectacular. Rod and I have never seen anything like it before. They're so well built inside. You've got multiple rooms, chambers, and purposes for each cave, from workshops to dwelling houses. It's really spectacular.
This is so cool because usually I see caves that are just chiseled out, but it still looks raw and cave-like. But this doesn't look like cave-like. Even though it's a cave, look at all the walls. It's so unusual to see walls and structures inside a cave. Wow.
Where are the people that lived here? A few major archaeological discoveries can help answer this question.
Mikveh. Wow.
It's a small one, babe. So it's probably a personal one because you don't have the two sets of stairs. So it probably belongs just to the
Otherwise, if it was like a public
Community
event, you would
one-
have one
one
stair
and
go in
up.
and clean people go out the other way.
so you don't touch.
Mikvehs are found only in Jewish places. Jews would go into the pool as ritually unclean and then come out of the pool as ritually clean. It's not an act of cleaning your skin from dirt, it is an act of ritual purification. There's a great paper by Dr. Yonatan Adler who shows and explains how these chambers, how these pools cannot be used for anything else but purification purposes. They're useless for anything else.
That's pretty cool.
Careful your head.
The presence of mikvehs, these purification baths, is a strong indication that the people who lived in this city were Jews. But there's more evidence that point to this fact. The biggest one of them being the synagogue and the Hebrew inscription that was found there.
After having examined the dwelling places of the people that once lived here, we're making our way to the synagogue, where the mysterious inscription can be found.
Whoa, look at those arches.
Babe, doesn't this remind you of the Temple Mount arches? That's the first thing I
Yes.
thought of when I saw them.
Wow, look at those stairs. This thing is giant. Is this the largest synagogue we've ever seen? This is
This
not
is
a
one of the
synagogue.
big ones.
This is like a temple.
It's pretty huge.
Oh, oh my. Look at this. Wow. Look at the size of this. When I think of synagogue, I don't think of this. This looks like a temple. Doesn't it remind you of Temple Mount, raised up on a platform, giant boulders like the Herod's construction style, and it's just huge.
Whoa, look at that. And that probably was the door here.
Look at all those mosaics.
Look how small those ones are. And these look like they're bigger.
Hebrew.
Yes.
Babe,
There it is.
look at that inscription. That's the one.
Yes, let's go see
That's
it.
the one. Whoa, wow. I can't believe we can read it. After 1600 years, we can actually understand and read this same script. דקירן לטוב מנחמה ישוע שהדה v'minchama she. But that's like more of a ancient and maybe even Aramaic. And so the Hebrew would read, Schurim latov apraklit, Yeshua ha'ed v'apraklit.
This is a very controversial inscription, not just because of the name, but also because of the two words that surround it. The inscription is in Aramaic, and it only has a few words. Dakiran latov minchama, Yeshua, shehada, veminchama, and unfortunately the last word is damaged, but we do have just the first letter, shin. And translated, it reads, remembered for good, advocate, Yeshua, witness, an advocate, and then there is this just one letter, shin, which we don't know how it continues because this inscription is damaged. But here's the interesting part. This word that appears before Yeshua, it's an Aramaic word, menachama, and it is translated as an advocate. But it also means a comforter. In fact, this word appears in the Syriac New Testament.
In John chapter 14, Jesus, speaking of the Holy Spirit, says, I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may abide with you forever. In the Syriac translation of the New Testament, the word helper is written as menachamna, and it literally means an advocate, intercessor, a counselor, or a comforter.
And then there is the second word, shahada. It appears right after Yeshua and it means witness or martyr. If we take all of this together, it reads advocate Yeshua, witness, or possibly comforter Yeshua, martyr. Somebody looking at this could say, wait a minute, isn't this Jesus of Nazareth, the advocate, the comforter, the witness? Well, it would be nice if it was that simple, but unfortunately it gets quite complicated.
The inscription begins with dakirin, which is plural for remembered. That means that the inscription is remembering more than one person. This is also evident by the last visible word.
Not only does the inscription begin with a plural, saying we're remembering a few people, it also ends with a title for another person. It says the end, another advocate or another comforter. And then it even has the first letter of his name. Unfortunately, the mosaic is destroyed, so we don't know his full name, but we do know it begins with the letter Shin, which means he could have been named Shimon as far as we know. The fact that this inscription actually lists more than one person and gives that other person the same title, Menachama, raises questions whether this inscription actually speaks about Yeshua of Nazareth.
There's an inscription with Jesus' name. Is it the Jesus, the Lord, or is it another person that was called Jesus who did something for the synagogue? Because that name was common.
And that's the other point. The name Yeshua was very common at the time. We even have it in the book of Acts and Colossians, where there is another Jesus or Yeshua at the time living among them, and it was a different person, not Jesus of Nazareth. And also we need to remember that inscriptions that start with dakir or dakiran, plural, remembered, are very common for 5th century synagogues. Could build an argument saying this is a classic dedication for these names, these people who helped build the synagogue, and such dedications appear in most of the synagogues in the area.
Could it be that this inscription simply speaks about a person who lived in the 5th century, whose name was Jesus, and he helped construct this synagogue? To answer this question, we have decided to check out a few peculiar artifacts that the archaeologists believe to be out of place.
Wait, babe. Are these rolling stones?
Whoa, I didn't even notice them when I walked in. But they're giant. What?
Like a tomb rolling stone? Why would you need that at the entrance of a synagogue?
Rolling stones like these, for this time period, are only found in monasteries and churches, but they're never found in synagogues. What is it doing here?
It just rolls in and closes in. This synagogue door was a rolling stone, the kind of the one they would use. That's kind of the one they use in graves, right? To just roll over the doors.
Except a humongous one, this one.
It's giant. And there's another one, right? Over there.
On the other side. Why would you need them?
Another mystery of this synagogue is the evidence of iconoclasm.
Iconoclasm is an act of deliberate destruction of icons, drawings, or monuments for political or religious purposes. And archaeologists have reason to believe that this very synagogue was victim of such act.
Archaeologists have found evidence that the mosaics we see inside the synagogue today are not the same as the originals. At some point in time, the mosaic depictions seem like they were erased, and some of them were even replaced with other images.
We do know that this village goes through a significant change sometime in the 6th to 8th century. Most of the residents are now Muslim, and the synagogue is no longer a Jewish worship place, but archaeologists believe could possibly be a mosque. The question is, were the original mosaics simply so damaged that the renovators didn't know what to draw now and they changed it to something else? Or did those who renovated this synagogue intentionally changed whatever depictions originally were here?
It could be any other Jesus, and it could be just somebody who donated to the synagogue. His name is mentioned for a good remembrance. But at the same time, Jesus, the witness. If it is the Jesus, then that changes so much.
And as if there wasn't enough controversy and mystery to this place, there are other inscriptions in the synagogue in Hebrew language which use terminology that is unheard of in Jewish inscriptions in other synagogues in the area. Terms such as Gdushat, Asofer, Mechubad. These terms are not seen in any other Jewish synagogue of that time. But guess what? They're pretty common in Byzantine Christian inscriptions. And also there are designs in these mosaics that are very similar to the ones found in the nearby ancient church of Beit Guvrin. But of course, this could also mean that these people were just very good friends with the neighboring towns, and so they exchanged artists or terminology. It is possible.
This is very, very interesting, isn't this? This is one of the most mysterious things ever been found.
Wouldn't it be the coolest thing if it was really Jesus Christ? And some people believe that. We've read some places where they believe that, but we don't have that nail in the coffin part where it's really tells us that this is really it.
But before we call it a day, there's one more mysterious feature that we decided to check out: the underground escape tunnel.
So this is the synagogue, and they actually have an escape tunnel here, right out of the synagogue. Somebody comes in to attack them, they take this escape tunnel and end up somewhere outside of the city. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. Whoa. Hey, look at this. Whoa.
So I'll see you on the other side?
See you on the other side, honey.
Be careful, please.
Yes.
Be careful.
I hope there are no snakes or foxes.
This is a huge place. What is this? Wow. Oh man. Wow. Look at that. Wow. Look at this. Oh, you can finally relax. Hey, look at this. Look at that. Daylight. There's another one. Oh man, this is taking a long time. time, Rhoda might be worried if I'm still okay. Oh wait, I see daylight. I think this is it. That's it. There we are. Whew. Made it. Whew.
Babe?
The tunnel is very cool. It like just goes in zigzags, and there are also walls and structures inside and rooms, almost like you can probably even hide in there, not even come out if you need to, and all kinds of stuff. But you know what? The distance isn't that long. Look where we are.
That's why I thought it was gonna take you literally a couple of minutes. And I was wondering why it took you so much longer.
But underground, it kind of felt like I was walking in zigzags probably for a while, and but it's pretty cool. It's not that far.
Is the conclusion of all this. There are so many other things that we just didn't have the time to explore and discuss. There are many other mysterious and intriguing artifacts in this place. However, today, we've seen enough. And for now, we should remain careful to not jump into conclusions.
We should resist the temptation to claim that this speaks of Jesus of Nazareth. And here's why. If there is the slightest chance that it is not speaking of Jesus of Nazareth, then we're basically attributing the name of God to someone else. Someone who also was named Yeshua. He lived in the 5th century. He was possibly an advocate, maybe even a martyr, and he helped donate money to the synagogue or helped build it. In fact, we think that's probably the most likely scenario that's happening here. And if that is the case, then it's a pretty severe allegation to say, oh, this is Yeshua of Nazareth. On the other hand, we should also not entirely dismiss the possibility that this could be speaking of Jesus of Nazareth, because this synagogue is just nothing but extraordinary. There are so many inconsistencies here. There are so many mysteries. It just doesn't fit the regular synagogue profile. In the end, this mystery remains open. And that could be a good thing, because there is still so much more to excavate here. What if this enigma will inspire more archaeologists to come and continue the work here? What if there's more things to uncover? What if there are more inscriptions to be found underneath these rocks? And if so, what if they tell the full story?